autism is complicated, and there's not one cause. There's not one cause that is Tylenol. There's not one cause that is related to folate.
He said was a significant rise in the number of severe cases of autism, talking about people on the autism spectrum who are nonverbal, saying that this doesn't exist in Americans who are over the age of 60.
That's not correct. There are many people with autism of all forms, including severe or profound autism of all ages.
I have a few clips lined up for us of a doctor on CNN sounding off on the Trump administration and RFK Jr. for their insane report on autism, attempting to blame Tylenol and vaccines and making a slew of inaccurate claims while doing so. So take a moment if you can, leave us a like on the video, gives us a boost in the algorithm, helps us get out there a bunch, and let's get right to the discussion.
The FDA commissioner there, he stands by the fact that the White House says there is this actual causal relationship, not just an association. Is he right?
The most important thing that was said during that conference today is that autism is complex with a multifactorial etiology. And that is the truth. What that means is that autism is complicated, and there's not one cause. There's not one cause that is Tylenol. There's not one cause that is related to folate. It's extremely complicated.
Yeah, exactly. There's no causal link between Tylenol and autism, no causal link between an increased risk. I would love to see the data that RFK Jr. swears exists, but is yet to show anyone. There's at best weak correlation that you can point to, but spurious correlations are far from evidence of causation. Like, we know this, right? If I find $1 million while it's raining, those things are correlated, but the rain didn't come to me or didn't cause me to find the money. And the same can be said for autism. As the gentleman said, it is incredibly complex, but the association being there doesn't mean it causes it. It could be the fever that you're taking Tylenol for that causes it. It could be the infection you're taking Tylenol for. It could be a slew of things. And we see from differing things in development, from those with ASD throughout differing stages of the development process in utero, that this is, it's multifaceted. It's hard to pinpoint to one thing. Tylenol, especially at that, and we definitely shouldn't trust the guys who can't even pronounce acetaminophen when talking about it, or the guy who's been asking the CDC to fire experienced professionals and has no experience himself. Trust your doctor.
As you just heard from Dr. McCary, he talked about as well what he said was a significant rise in the number of severe cases of autism, talking about people on the autism spectrum who are nonverbal, saying that this doesn't exist in Americans who are over the age of 60. Is that true?
That's not correct. There are many people with autism of all forms, including severe or profound autism of all ages. In fact, when we look at how diagnostic trends have changed over time, that's the segment that's been most stable. It's the people who have higher cognitive ability and more language that have been more included in the spectrum in recent years.
And that's exactly what anybody should talk about first every single time this conversation is had. The rate of severe autism is rather stable. If we're saying all these things that are happening now are much more common and they're causing autism, then why is severe autism rather stable? We would see that be getting worse. What has been increasing is this rate of high functioning autism, those who are on the spectrum, but those with an untrained eye could speak to them and literally never know, which speaks to it being because of a greater understanding of autism, allowing a more encompassing tint for how we diagnose, where before we were just missing people because they could appear normal enough, or, maybe they're just a little odd, where now we're able to detect this. And because of that, we're able to give more people the help that they need. Why are people so against that? It's an amazing thing. And autism isn't something that needs cured. It's not a disease.
What should the takeaway then be for people today? I mean, I spoke with an OBGYN earlier tonight who said her guidance will not change at all for her patients, but she is deeply concerned about how they will take this information.
Exactly, that people should be talking with the OBGYNs, understanding how their specific medical situation is relevant in this context. There are risks to not treating a fever in a pregnant woman.
The president made a number of claims. Among them, he said that there was no autism whatsoever within the Amish community. Is that accurate?
That's not correct. There is autism in the Amish community. In fact, because there's more genetic overlap among Amish people, there are specific studies that have focused on autism in the Amish community to learn more about genes.
This is another one of those weird things these clowns will say sometimes. I think in hopes of preying on likelihood of ignorance. Most people aren't well read up on like the stats of the Amish. And another one they'll say is like autism rates are lower in the anti-vax. Like neither of these are true statements as the gentleman laid out for the Amish, but we also have studies done with siblings where one was vaccinated and one wasn't. And we found similar rates of autism throughout. At the end of the day, again, you just can't stress this enough, how people should not listen to those with every financial interest to lie to them, who are stating things outside of the scientific process and peer review. There's a reason these people aren't publishing things in scientific journals. Instead, dig into published work in accredited, reputable journals that have stood the test of peer review and are worth enough to actually have a decent number of citations. Talk to your doctors, trust them, literally not the guy whose brain is being eaten by a worm.